Static NAT is undoubtedly the easiest method of NAT, and that's what we're going to configure in this lesson. In this lab, we have two networks, a private network of 192.168.1.0/24 and a public network of 200.0.0.0/24. The objective of this exercise is to configure NAT on our main router with the aim to translate the private IP address of our PC1 to a public IP address that belongs to the public network so that our private host can communicate with our public host. Having assigned the necessary IPv4 settings to the two hosts, I shall proceed to configuring the router. I will navigate to its CLI, run no, enable conft. Interface, I shall configure the private interface first, which is all zeros. I'll give the IPv4 address of 192.168.1.1, 255.255.255.0 is going to be its subnet mask. Then I'm going to define it as a NAT inside interface and no shutdown to bring it up. Next, I will move into the other interface. I shall give the IPv4 address of 200.0.0.1, 255.255.255.0 is going to be subnet mask. I will define it as a NAT outside interface, and I will run not shutdown in order to bring it up. I will save my changes. And then the last thing I need to do is to configure the necessary mapping in NAT so that the private address can be translated into a public one. So I will do IPNAT inside source static, because we're using static NAT, 192.168.1.10, which, as we can see in our topology, is the IP address of PC1. And this address will be translated to 200.0.0.10. Bear in mind that for static NAT to work, the public IP address that the private one is going to be translated into cannot be already in use in the network. I'll save my changes once more. And now, after I fast forward the time a couple of times, I should be able to ping PC2 of the public network from the PC1 in the private network. So if I launch a command prompt on PC1 and I run ping 200.0.0.254, which is the IPv4 address of PC2, we can see that it took some time to think about it. The first request resulted in a timed out error, but the subsequent 3 requests were all successful. If I inspect the NAT table of the router, I can see the translation taking place. I can also inspect the same by navigating back to the router and then run show IP NAT translations, as well as show IP NAT statistics. So that's how static NAT can be configured.